37 million Tanzanians headed to the ballot to elect a president, members of parliament, and councillors. In a campaign that has seen the disqualification of the main opposition party, Chadema, from the contest, and its leader, Tundu Lissu, on trial for treason. What's interesting is his verdict is scheduled, conveniently so, 14 days after election day today, on a day when demonstrations also gripped the neighbors to the south. So what do the polls portend in Tanzania? Stephen Leto will have the details. The bench this evening celebrates the International Day of Care and Support. And that's why Lillian Mole, my colleague, is in the county of Narok. Good evening, Lillian.
Good evening, Ayub. Yes, we are live in Narok County as the world marks International Day for Care and Support. And tonight we are asking, what's the true value of care and support? The people who offer their services to care for our children, the elderly, it could be palliative care. The people who engage in day-to-day activities that really form the backbone of society, but are often overlooked in terms of compensation, in terms of leave days, and in terms of a simple thank you. Policies that shape care work in this country still hanging in the balance, not much known around that. And tonight we ask critical questions around what the true value of care and support is. I'll be having a panel discussion right here at the Masai Mara University. And of course, we have a live audience with me here at the Masai Mara University. With me and joining me in the conversation tonight will be Masi Nyakio. She is Industrial Relations Officer at Kudeha. I'll also be joined by Mercy Koini. She is the Program Officer, Gender Equity and Social Inclusion Forum, CIV, and Robert Simoto Rotich, CECM, Education, Youth Affairs and Sports, Gender Culture and Social Services in Narok County. We also invite you, our viewers back at home, to send in your questions on 22422. Send in your questions as well as your comments, or you could also tweet on JKLive. That's the hashtag at Citizen TV Kenya, and we will be glad to take your questions and comments right here at the Masai Mara University. Remember, the question today that begs is, do we appreciate persons that are engaged in care across the country enough? Are they well compensated? And what really are their rights when it comes to the work that they do that really adds value in our society? All that will be right here live at the Masai Mara University in Narok County. Stay with us. But for now, it's back to you, Ayub, with the highlights of the day.
I am Ayub Abdikadir, and here are the highlights tonight.
They would not have requested for those resources in the budget from Treasury.
Unfit for capitation. Over 6,000 schools blacklisted from receiving capitation funds for failing the standard threshold. Dusk to dawn curfew. Tanzania's government imposes curfew in Dar es Salaam. Shuts down the internet countrywide on election day amid demonstrations by opposition supporters. Resolve pay standoff or shut down universities. University students to hold demonstrations countrywide. Demand early closure of universities if pay standoff is not resolved. Recovery mission continues. 11 bodies of passengers who perished in ill-fated plane finally recovered as investigations begin. And Belinda Odhiambo is our sign language interpreter. 2 people, a civilian and a police officer, were killed during election day demonstrations in Tanzania, with the state putting the city of Dar es Salaam under 6 p.m. curfew, following a tense election day marked by protest and unrest across many parts of the neighbor to the south. Dar es Salaam Special Zone Police Commander Jumanne Muliro did not specify, however, when the curfew is expected to be lifted. And as Stephen Leto tells us in the following report, Dar es Salaam Regional Commissioner Alfred Chalamila also said that the authorities will take stern action against those who sought to disrupt the country's peace.
Tanzania's much-awaited election day was marred by violent protests in the capital Dar es Salaam and its environs, with more protests happening in various parts of the country, including at the Tanzania-Zambia border. Several people were injured in the confrontations after groups of protesters gathered along major highways to demand electoral reforms and oppose the ongoing polls that locked out key opposition figures Tundu Lissu of Chadema, who is detained, and Luhaga Mpina of the Wazalendo Party. Amnesty International cited reports that a member of the public and a police officer were killed during election day protests across Tanzania, saying such reports are deeply disturbing. Amnesty International going on to add that the risk of further escalation is high and urging the police to exercise restraint and refrain from using unnecessary and excessive force against protesters. In Morogoro Road in Dar es Salaam, protesters lit fires on roads, vandalized buses and caused extensive damage to bus terminals. They destroyed Samia Suluhu's campaign posters and other public infrastructure.
Sisi tumezaliwa katika nchi hii, hatuna nchi nyingine. Kwa hiyo ni kwamba tunapenda uhuru wa maoni, tunapenda kuzuia utekaji, tunapenda uhuru wa vyombo vya habari.
Inisha kwamba ili tupate uhuru lazima tutumie nguvu, basi tutatumia.
Tunaandamana kwa sababu uchaguzi si wa haki. Sababu tuliokuwa tunawataka kwanza hawapo. Wameweka watu wao.
Sijapigwa, lakini nimepigishwa magoti na familia yangu pasipo na sababu, na kosa silijui, lakini nimejitetea nikiwa ndani. Jamani, hapa pana amani, kaambia toka nje. Na kama msipotoka nje tutawapigia mimoshi, mtoke na mabomu ya machozi.
Nini tupigwe risasi na wakati tunaandamana maandamano ya haki? Kwa nini tupigwe risasi? Kwa hicho kitu sisi tunapinga. Na hii issue haiishi leo wala kesho. Mpaka ikubarike. Tanzania's government quickly imposed a curfew in Dar es Salaam from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in a bid to suppress the protests that risked running into the night as vote counting got underway.
Kuanzia leo tarehe 29 Oktoba mwaka 2025 saa 12 jioni wawe majumbani mwao. Hakuna mtu yoyote yule anayeruhusiwa kuonekana barabarani au kwenye mitaa yoyote ile kuanzia muda huo wa saa 12 niliyoutaja. Askari wa jeshi la polisi pamoja na vyombo vingine vya ulinzi na usalama ndio pekee watakuwa barabarani na katika mitaa ya jiji hilo kwa kazi maalum. Asanteni sana.
Suluhu administration had shut off the internet as voting got underway, but the protests reportedly occurred in most key regions of Tanzania. The internet shut down, paralyzing communication. Earlier in the day, President Samia Suluhu cast her vote, calling on Tanzanians to turn up in large numbers to cast their votes and maintain peace.
Nataka niseme kwamba nami tayari nimeshakamilisha zoezi hili na niwaombe wa Tanzania wale ambao bado wako nyumbani wajitokeze.
Vote counting is underway with the election body expected to announce the winner once the exercise is concluded. It is unlikely that there will be a surprise result announced. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV.
4 senior officials at the county government of Nyamira have been arrested in a raid conducted by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. The raids on the homes of the office and offices of the county governor, Amos Nyaribo, are in connection with a corruption probe involving an irregular tender worth 382 million Kenya shillings. The coordinated Wednesday morning operation also targeted the senior county officials suspected to be part of the alleged scheme. The contractor allegedly received payments far exceeding the actual work of the construction of the county government offices. Here's Ben Kirui with that report.
They arrived early on a drizzling Wednesday morning, catching county officials and staff flat-footed. Officers from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission EACC swept into Nyamira County headquarters in a mission to recover crucial documents linked to an alleged irregular tender worth 382 million shillings. The project, which involved the construction of the county government offices, was awarded to Spentech Engineering Limited, which is suspected of receiving payments far exceeding the value of work completed. Investigators say they successfully retrieved key records expected to aid in the ongoing probe.
We have been able to recover a lot of valuable and critical documents and investigations which are going to assist us to ensure that we fill all the gaps that we have that are existing in the current investigations. During the crackdown, 4 senior county officials were arrested following searches in their offices. Those apprehended include Lamek Machuki Nyakiri, Director Housing and Physical Planning, Peris Mose, Director Roads, formerly Head of Procurement, Asanet Maobe, Chief Officer Finance and Accounting Services, and Jospat Oruru, Chief Officer Roads, Transport and Public Works. We have effected more than 5 court warrants, search warrants, against the governor of Nyamira, Honorable Amos Nyaribo, and 4 other senior officers from the same county. This is in furtherance to the ongoing various investigations concerning that particular county of Nyamira. The operation also extended to the homes of the governor and the 4 officials. Governor Amos Nyaribo is under investigation for allegedly authorizing irregular payments totaling 18 million shillings to himself, 5 million shillings classified as an act of grace, and 13 million shillings as reimbursement for house allowance. Once we are through with the investigation, we will write a report to the Director of Public Prosecutions for purposes of seeking consent or concurrence with whatever recommendation that we will have put in that particular file. EACC conducted simultaneous raids in Nyamira, Kisii and Nairobi counties. The commission says the swift operation is aimed at securing vital evidence ahead of possible arrest and prosecution of key suspects in the corruption scandal. Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
And former acting Social Health Authority Chief Executive Officer Robert Ingasira is among 9 people arrested to face charges of fraud and abuse of office. Detectives are also looking for former CEO Elijah Wachira. Others arrested and set to be arraigned on Thursday include Justus Odhiambo and Vera Atieno of Vebeneza Enterprise Medical Clinic, who are accused of conspiracy to defraud the Social Health Authority of 1.1 million shillings. They will also face charges of cheating and accusation of proceeds of crime. Others include Bill Clinton, Cynthia Odhiambo, and Felix Otieno, Arthur Otula, Rosemary Daraja, and Peter Abuna. The suspects will be arraigned on Thursday. 4 petitioners have moved to court seeking to have Nyeri County Governor Mutahi Kahiga declared unfit to hold public office. In their petition, the 4 claim the governor's remarks regarding the country's expected political shift following former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's demise created, in quotes, an us versus them narrative, which amounted, according to the petitioners, a mockery and incitement against a targeted ethnic group. As Kamau Mwangi details in the following report, the petition also seeks the governor's suspension from office pending the outcome of the case.
A week after this viral clip that captured Nyeri Governor Mutahi Kahiga seemingly celebrating the death of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga as God's way of disrupting the country's political scene ahead of the 2027 general election, the governor's troubles are now headed to the corridors of justice, where a petition to declare him unfit to hold public office has been filed. Petitioners Bunge la Mwananchi, Lawrence Oyugi, Commit Bush, and Nicholas Kimanzi want the court to find Kahiga's utterances as not mere political rhetoric, but loaded with ethnic coding and incitement, amounting to hate speech and gross misconduct under the Constitution's Leadership and Integrity and the National Cohesion and Integration Acts. D4 believe that the governor's remarks breach several constitutional provisions, including the violation of Article 10 on national values and unity, Article 73 and 75 on integrity and conduct of state officers, as well as Articles 27 and 28 that prohibit discrimination and protect human dignity respectively, and thus in his utterances promoted divisiveness, undermined the rule of law, and violated the oath of office he took as governor. The petition has also warned Governor Kahiga suspended from office pending the hearing and determination of the matter, arguing that similar rhetoric by leaders in the past has led to deadly outcomes, including the 2007-2008 post-election violence. They also warned the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission compelled to investigate and take legal action against him as they seek his ultimate removal from office in the event he is found guilty. Kamau Mwangi, Citizen TV.
Over 6,000 schools have been blacklisted from receiving capitation funds for failing to meet the standard threshold. Additional 29 learning institutions have not been listed to receive the funds for failing to meet the licensing requirements. While appearing before the National Assembly's Education Committee, the CS Julius Ogamba Migos said the ministry is requires 3.2 billion shillings in order to conduct the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examinations set to begin next week. Here is Seth Olale with that report.
A recently conducted verification exercise by the Ministry of Education has struck out 6,000 schools from benefiting from the government capitation for failing to meet the requirements, which include primary, junior, secondary and senior secondary, did not meet the students' population threshold, with some having as few as 45 pupils.
So we did agree that by last week or it was the other week, that all schools in this country should have received their share of capitation.
If the school was not in the system for capitation, they would not have requested for those resources in the budget from Treasury.
Education Cabinet Secretary Migos Ogamba, who was put to task by the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Education, also announced that 29 other institutions have not been receiving capitation despite registering for KPSEA, KGSEA or KCSE examinations.
As a CS, you have at a discretion to be able to disburse money to those 40 students or 30 students. They sit for exams and they go. So we can't agree that we give you a blanket discussion on that.
I think, Chair, we are not communicating.
Yes.
Mausa Secondary School in Loita Ward in Narok South, which since its inception, it has never received capitation, and the school is running an examination.
You indicate that I have to tell you and I have to release money to 29 schools. It's not going to be possible until it is in the system, and it's because where do I get the money from? So what I'm trying to say, Chair, is it is the right thing to do. You've raised the issue of the 29 schools. Let us find the status of them. Maybe some of them are not having students to do exams.
In addition, 570 primary schools out of 990 had not submitted data to the Ministry of Education despite receiving 50% of the capitation by the end of the verification exercise. CS Ogamba informing Parliament that his ministry is grappling with a 3.2 billion shillings budget deficit needed to conduct the remaining national examinations in 2025. Seth Olale, Citizen TV.
Elsewhere, the University Academic Staff Union UASU has dismissed claims by the Ministry of Education that learning is ongoing in some public universities. The union insists that no classes are taking place nationwide and that the strike will go on until their demands are met, which includes the full release of 7.9 billion Kenya shillings in salary arrears in one installment and the implementation of the 2019-2025 collective bargaining agreement. This comes also as the Technical University of Mombasa students demonstrated, saying the lecturer strike has severely disrupted their studies and are now demanding that the state meets the lecturers' terms to end the deadlock.
The lecturers and university staff strike across public universities has entered its 43rd day. WASU dismissed the Ministry of Education list on institutions where learning is supposedly ongoing.
KU is on strike. JKLive, how many universities are those?
The Ministry of Education says learning is partially ongoing in 13 universities, normal in 17, and suspended in 12. However, WASU maintains that no public university is conducting classes, accusing the government of using the figures to divide lecturers.
If Alliance, Mang, Kenya High are not teaching, and a day school in the village is teaching, you can say learning is going on in secular schools.
WASU says despite the government agreeing to pay 7.9 billion shillings in salary arrears for the 2017-2021 CBA, lecturers will not resume classes because the government plans to pay in 3 installments, contrary to the initial agreement.
So let the country know that lecturers are blatantly refused that they are not going back to work if the 7.9 billion is not paid at once. Lecturers have refused again that they will not go back to work if the 2025-2029 CBA is negotiated, signed, registered, and implemented.
Lecturers have vowed to stay on strike until the full payment is made and all their demands met, saying they are not afraid even if the strike continues into next year. Despite being listed among institutions where learning is said to be ongoing, students at the Technical University of Mombasa have refuted the ministry's claim and staged protests demanding that the government meet the lecturers' demands, saying they're bearing most of the suffering.
This is the beginning, and we are going to be on the streets on each and every day, every week, until we are either back to class or we are at home.
The lecturer strike is a very big issue, but it has been accorded a very less attention. And this is something that we realize that the government is considering as so mundane. I want to say that that is very archaic of the government. We want to say that you only have 2 options. Either you close the schools or we go home.
Lecturers and university workers remain firm in their stand, with all eyes now on the government. Willie Lusige, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Still on education, and the first part of this year's national exams and assessment has concluded today. Grade 6 learners sitting KPSEA assessment, as well as learners with special needs and pre-vocational learners, sat their last papers on Wednesday as the exam period continues. And as Brenda Wanga details in the following report, the KPSEA assessment in Bomet County brought out a community spirit as one of the village in the county rallied to assist a disabled candidate to access the exam centers.
The journey has been a communal affair. Just 4 weeks ago, Emmanuel underwent a major operation to correct a severe leg disability. His young bones are mending, but the metal and cast mean he cannot walk. He cannot even sit on a standard school desk. Yet, the national assessment waits for no one. This is where his Cheswerta community come in. Every morning, Weldon Mutai, a good Samaritan, makes the drive to ensure Emmanuel, described as an astute learner, doesn't miss this crucial milestone.
Huyu kijana tumekuwa tukiona kwa community ana struggle sana kwenda shule. Saa zingine mimi nakuta yeye njiani na mimi nasaidia yeye at least kupepa kupatia yeye lift afike shule. Saa zingine nakuja kutoka upande wa shule kwa sababu mimi naishi karibu na shule.
At school, a special arrangement has been made. While his peers settle into their desks in the main examination hall, Emmanuel's classroom is unique. Unable to sit upright, Emmanuel writes his papers propped up on a mattress on the floor. His teacher, Selina Cheruyot, says the adjustments go beyond the assessment period.
So I have done some adaptation so that the boy is comfortable in school. For example, in the washrooms, we have made some adaptation in one of the washrooms, and the boy is using that room. We even need an adapted chair because we don't know the time it will take for his legs to be corrected. So if it is possible to get an adapted chair who can fit the boy to be comfortable in class, we shall be happy.
The casts are heavy, the positioning is uncomfortable, the pain of recovery is real. But for Emmanuel Chepkoech, this assessment is more than just a grade. It will place him on the path to his future career, just like it will for the 1.3 million learners who have just completed the CAPSEA assessment Wednesday. The learners were part of the larger 3.4 million young people participating in the largest national exam undertaking in Kenya. The practical part of the KCSE exams is underway across the country, while the written part will start on Monday. The ongoing KCSE assessment will also conclude on Monday. The government says the period has been without incident so far.
But again, the teams have worked around the clock to ensure that the integrity of the assessment or the examination is not compromised. We have had a few cases of students falling sick or being hospitalized, and again the teams have worked to ensure that they still are able to do the examination. We had a case in Tana River yesterday, which again was resolved. Yeah.
Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
President William Ruto has promised to facilitate the resettlement of internally displaced persons in the country, pledging 18 million Kenya shillings to help 900 families affected by the 2007-8 post-election violence in Nakuru County. The head of state, who concluded his trip of the county on Wednesday, also launched several development projects, including the tarmacking of Kongoni-Ndabibi Central Road in Naivasha constituency, calling on critics to judge him at the ballot in the next election. Here is our political affairs reporter, Emmanuel To.
Watu wa hapa Central mnasemaje? Ati Central mnasemaje?
His three-day tour of Nakuru County ended with several whistle-stop rallies in different constituencies. He came carrying bags of goodies for the vote-rich county.
Bado ni kesho.
President William Ruto promising to resettle families affected by the 2007-2008 post-election violence, pledging 18 million shillings to support some families in Lanet area.
Sasa nimeambiwa hapa iko familia 900 ambao wako na mashamba yao kule Kisima na Donga Farm na Kisima Farm. Kila familia nitapatia shilingi 20,000 wa kwenda kuanzisha maisha mahali mnaenda.
The president saying his government will work tirelessly towards resettling all affected persons in the country.
Kati tulifanya campaign, mimi na Susan na Hawa Wangwana, tuliwaambia tutasort out maneno yenu, muende kwa mashamba yenu.
Barabara hii ya Kongoni Kasarani.
The head of state who launched several projects in the county, also commissioning the tarmacking of the Kasarani, Olkari and Ndabibi roads, which he says will be a game changer for the residents.
Si mnajua mimi ni mtu ya kijiji hii? Ama hii barabara sasa nimeambia huyu contractor aanze hapa mara moja. Aanzie hapa barabara, asukume iende hivi, apange na hiyo izunguke pande ile. Na mimi nimempatia 1.5 years hii barabara yote iwe imekamilika, tuwe tunatembea na lami hapa.
Unasema Rais Ruto aendelee? Aendelee asiendelee? Muko kwa 2 term. Muko kwa 2 term. Rais Ruto ni noma si noma. Wacha nione wale wako 2 term.
Umetutumia masurveyors kutoka Nairobi kwa ile shida ya Ngate Farm yenye imekuwa na shida na boda ya Narok na Nakuru.
Na kwa sasa, President Ruto, who also issued title deeds to close to 3,000 families in Gilgil constituency, training his guns on his critics, telling them to wait for him at the ballot in 2027.
Si kila mtu anapimwa na ile kazi amefanya. Kama mtu hakuna kazi amefanya ni kumangamanga kwa barabara na maneno ya upuzi. Sijui nini. Si hao watu tutawanyorosha mapema na asubuhi.
Naona tukiendelea hivi, tuwajengee masoko, tuwajengee barabara, tuwajengee hospitali, tuwapatie title deed. Kuna mwananchi atakuwa na swali tena?
Emmanuel To, Citizen TV.
Time for a break here on The Bench. A reminder, it's coming to you live from the Masai Mara University on a day when the world is observing the International Day of Care and Support, and she will be in the company of the four who are at the Masai Mara University in the county of Narok. And we have as well much more to run you through here on the broadcast. Stay with us. Here's what's coming up. Elwin Tahost is facing deportation from Kenya after a video surfaced showing him verbally attacking and humiliating police officers at Diani police station. The disturbing footage, which quickly went viral across social media platforms, also shows Tahost stretching police officers' patience by hurling insults at them and physically roughing them up. The police have since made it clear that such behavior will not be tolerated, as Melita Oletenges tells us in the following report.
Early Wednesday, Elwin Tahost was escorted out of Diani police station, handcuffed and under tight security, as authorities took steps to ensure his deportation from Kenya. His luggage in tow as he was led away, marking the beginning of his journey back to the Netherlands. This came after he had been filmed making demeaning and offensive remarks towards police officers in Diani police station.
I want to stay here. I want to live in this country.
Tahost was heard apologizing, trying to explain that he wished to continue living in Kenya and that he was suffering from psychosis. However, his apology seemed hollow compared to the weight of his earlier actions. According to the police, Tahost had been intoxicated and had also been engaging in disorderly behavior. He was set to face several charges, including assault, damage to property, and being in possession of drugs.
That we don't tolerate such behavior of abusing officers or any other Kenyan while they are still in Kenya.
Langat insisted that beyond the immigration laws, foreign nationals must adhere to all of Kenya's laws. He emphasized that any violation would lead to deportation.
In addition to immigration laws, travelers are also obligated to comply with all other applicable Kenyan law. Failure to comply will lead to prosecution, deportation for serious violation, and being barred from entering Kenya in future.
Investigations also revealed that Tahost had overstayed his welcome in Kenya. His passport had expired and he had been living in the country illegally for some time. As the processes for his deportation continue, the Kenyan police, through spokesperson Mushiri Nyaga, have also condemned the incident. They commended the officers involved for maintaining their professionalism and composure, despite the harsh verbal attacks they endured. Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
Authorities in Transmara South, Narok County have launched an investigation following the gruesome killing of a grade 9 candidate who was found raped and hacked to death on Wednesday morning. The student was murdered on her way to school to sit for her examinations. A multi-agency team is investigating the incident. Citizen TV's Crispin Otieno was in Transmara in Narok County and filed the following report.
Wednesday in Oldonyorok, Transmara South. Residents were up in arms after the body of a 13-year-old Kipsea candidate who has since been identified as Chelangat Cynthia Shikuku was found lifeless. She had been molested and hacked to death. Her body was thrown into a sugarcane plantation. According to residents, the assailants are unknown. The incident sparked anger among locals.
Hapa mali tunasimama sahi hapa ni mali mtoto amechinjiwa. Juzi hapa kwa hii shule chini ya Ngoperieny, mtu alitekwa nyara hapa, akachinjwa mbuzi 60 akaenda.
Tumepata hiyo habari kwa huzuni na naomba haki tendeke. Naomba serikali waingilie ndani watende haki, huyo mtu apatikane na haki tendeke, kwa sababu hiyo ni dhuluma mbaya kwa mtoto mdogo wa shule, wamemkatishia ndoto zake za masomo.
This was, however, not the first incident a person was murdered in cold blood. The minor died about a kilometer from school where she was meant to sit her day 3 exams.
Ilikuwa mapema sana
ambaye ningewasihi wazazi wasiwachilie watoto asubuhi sana wakiwa peke yao. Ni vizuri watembee wakiwa kwa vikundi. Ingekuwa kwa vikundi, maafa kama haya tungeepuka.
The body of the deceased is currently lying at Lolgorian Level 5 Hospital as search for her killers is underway. Crispino TNO, Citizen TV, Transmara.
Elsewhere, the search and retrieval for the remains of 11 people who died in Kwale plane crash resumed today, with the government now saying that it requires more equipment to facilitate the process. Speaking after assessing the crash site in Kwale County, Aviation PS Teresia Mbaika revealed that some of the body parts might be buried below the wreckage of the plane, which left a depression on the site. The report of the crash will be published in the next 30 days in accordance with the laid protocols, with the families and the victims now expected to await a DNA profiling in order to identify their kin.
More than 24 hours after the plane crash in Simba, Kwale County that left 11 people dead, investigators arrived at the scene where more body parts were retrieved Wednesday. The search and retrieval operation had been suspended on Tuesday night due to heavy rains, with the government now seeking to deploy more machinery to comb the area.
The leader of the team here has confirmed that through the administration and the county government of Kwale, an excavator will be here this afternoon to ensure that is done. So we are working together with all the other stakeholders to ensure that what needs to be done will be done.
We may have to give the team on the ground, that is a team from Aircraft Accident Investigation Department, an opportunity to ensure that the area behind here is combed in line with the provisions of Annex 13. I may not confirm at this point in time because the process is still on whether all the bodies have been recovered or otherwise.
The Kenyan government has officially contacted the German and Hungarian governments. The full report of the investigations will be tabled in 30 days in accordance with the protocols of the Conventions on International Civil Aviation Organizations.
This is unfortunate. It is never expected. But sometimes, we leave the rest to the team to tell us exactly what happened. We may not be in a position, we do not want people to speculate. We'll wait for the team which is mandated to do this to give us a report.
The ill-fated aircraft left Diani for Masai Mara on Tuesday before it crashed at Simba area in Kwale County, killing all 11 people on board. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
Families of victims of the Shakahola massacre have continued to collect the bodies of their loved ones from the Malindi mortuary. Out of the 34 bodies, 10 have so far been identified and handed over to families that are now preparing for burial. The government says it will assist the families with the transportation of the bodies and waiving off the mortuary fees. But as Francis Mtalaki now tells us in the following report, the burden of conducting burials has remained a major headache.
For the third day, families of the Shakahola massacre victims have been camping at the Malindi mortuary to identify and collect bodies of their loved ones. 10 bodies have been positively identified and marched with their families, who are now preparing for burial. Under the arrangement, the government has waived mortuary fees and pledged to cover transportation costs. Francis Wanje's relatives lost 8 family members deep inside Shakahola forest in 2023. In April 2024, they received 4 bodies. In this current phase, they have received 1 more body, a GSU officer, but they are yet to find closure for the remaining 3.
Tuko katika harakati hapa na pale kuona kwamba mazishi tunayatayarisha vyema. Isipokuwa tu tuko na changamoto nyingi sana. Tuko katika hali mbaya kifedha sana, kifamilia. Na tumeonelea kwamba ikiwezekana wenzetu ambao majirani na hata viongozi wetu, tafadhalini tunaomba kama inawezekana watupatie mkono, kwa sababu hali imekuwa ngumu sana.
Jumatatu nilikuja nikaonyeshwa mwili
kupitia njia ya DNA ndio mwili ulipatikana, na sasa hii ndio tumejiweka katika matayarisho ya kutaka kuzika. Sasa watu walikuwa ni 8, 5 sasa hii ndio wamekuwa confirmed, tumezika 4, bakia mmoja. Wale 3 wengine bado hawajapatikana kwa DNA.
They say within less than a year, they have been forced to bury 5 of their loved ones. Burial expenses are a heavy burden and are calling on the government to intervene and speed up the process so that they can find closure from the Shakahola massacre.
Iharakishe hii jambo la DNA ili angalau kabla mwaka huu kuisha haya mambo tufunge kabisa. Manake yametupeleka mbio kiafya, mambo mengi. Hatuwezi kufanya lolote sai. Kila siku ni kufikiria tu tutapata lini mili. Tuzike. We want to come to a closure now ili tuanze mambo mengine.
The exercise will continue on Thursday as the government urges families whose relatives have been identified to travel to Malindi to collect the bodies for burial. Francis Mtolaki, Citizen TV.
Police have arrested a prime suspect into the murder of 21-year-old Wayua Nzioki in Machakos County. The suspect, identified as William Kaiya, allegedly stabbed the girl severally before killing her and reportedly called the deceased parents, informing them of the murder. As Franklin Wala now tells us in the following report, authorities at Machakos police station have been blamed for not acting on a reported case of a threat to life before the girl was killed.
He is the man police are treating as the main suspect in the brutal murder of 21-year-old Virginia Wayua Nzioki. The suspect allegedly committed the offense on 9th of September within Kariobangi in Machakos.
Hata kama ni kitu alikuwa nayo haki angeniambia ningemlipa kuliko kumuua. Sioni kitu anaweza nipea ama watu wao iniridhishe huyo mtoto wangu. Ndio ni mtu tulikuwa tumemlipia, amepangiwa kwenda shule. Tulikuwa amepanga kujoin university by January na sasa hiyo yote imekatika.
The suspect allegedly committed the crime and used the deceased mobile phone number to break the news to her family. The suspect allegedly then shared disturbing pictures of a terrifying crime scene with the deceased.
Kutoka hapo suspect akaanza kunipigia simu mimi mwenyewe. Hiyo usiku ndio alianza kunipigia simu. Akaniambia yeye ndiye alimuua na alikuwa bwana yake na msichana wangu hakuwa na bwana. Mimi kijana sijaimjua. Simjui. Hata venye alikuwa ananitumia message ndio alisema mpaka jina yake. Mimi sijaimjua na sijaimuona.
The family claims that the deceased had reported a case with the police on threats to her life.
Polisi Machakos DCI wangekuwa wakunisaidia wangemsaidia. Ile wakati aliripoti, njoo aliripoti tarehe 5 wangechukua hatua. Wangechukua huyo msichana awashike huyo kijana kupitia huyo msichana. Njoo aliripoti tarehe 5 na alimuua tarehe 9. So naona hapo kulikuwa na nafasi ya kumshika.
The suspect was arrested on Wednesday while at a hideout in Mombasa. He awaits court process on Thursday. Franklin Wala, Citizen TV.
And the Jipange na Viusasa caravan made a grand entry into central Kenya region, drawing huge crowds of excited residents in Kiambu County, where winners of 50,000 Kenya shillings and 500,000 Kenya shillings were rewarded. The caravan is set to traverse various parts of the country to celebrate Viusasa's 8th anniversary and reward loyal fans who have been following its exciting content on Viusasa Online.
500,000 shillings.
Elia Ipala from Limuru and Simon Mungai from Kimende, both from Kiambu County, walked away with 500,000 shillings and 50,000 shillings respectively after subscribing and participating in the Jipange na Viusasa campaign.
Tulipoanza hadi leo tumepeana takriban milioni 3. Tumebakisha milioni zingine kama 8 hivi za kupeana. Watazamaji wetu waendelee kutazama vipindi vyetu kwenye Viusasa, waende wa subscribe kwa paybill yetu ya Viusasa ya 724177 kisha waeke 50 shillings ama 99 shillings ndio waweze kusubscribe.
Tunawatafuta kwa ubaya. Are you a content creator? Kama wewe ni mtu mwenye digital space is your area, tutakuja baka penye huko.
Jipange na Viusasa!
Viusasa, Kenya's leading online entertainment platform, is renowned for its thrilling content that have kept audiences entertained for the past 8 years. To mark this milestone, Viusasa has organized a countrywide caravan to reward its loyal fans.
Sisi kwa najua wakulima wanaweza jitokeza hivyo, wanasema ni hapo na bado wanaendelea.
With just 50 shillings, subscribe on Viusasa, watch your favorite content and stand a chance to win big. The Jipange na Viusasa Mashinani caravan kicked off in Limuru and wrapped up in Kiambu town. The journey continues tomorrow to other parts of Kiambu County. Steve Shitera, Citizen TV, Kiambu.
On Smart Farm tonight, we tell you about how women in Laikipia County are using crickets to create a circular farming ecosystem. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Time for business. Kenya's real estate market is slowing down, with new data showing weaker land and property price growths across Nairobi and its satellite towns. The latest report from the real estate firm Has Consult shows that tighter household finances are rather self-building activity or slowing them down. Demands for new houses grow. Here's Jasmine Wamboi with the details of that report.
Land prices in Nairobi's satellite towns rose just 0.8% in the third quarter of 2025, according to the latest Has Consult property and land price indices. The slowdown is attributed to reduced self-building activity as many middle-class buyers struggle to raise funds for land purchases in areas such as Kiserian, Kitengela and Athi River. An acre in the satellite towns now averages 32.3 million shillings compared to 223.9 million in Nairobi's suburbs. Within the city, land prices increased by 1.2% in the quarter, with Spring Valley leading gains at 3.6% as developers convert large plots into mixed-use developments. Meanwhile, prime areas with strict zoning like Muthaiga saw prices edge down by 0.2%. Rental prices, however, fell by 1.6% in the quarter as expatriate demand weakened following reduced aid inflows. Still, Has Consult notes the strong local appetite for home ownership has prevented the kind of price decline seen in past downturns, keeping the country's real estate market stable but cautious. Jasmine Wamboi, Citizen TV.
The third quarter of the year 2025 has seen Kenya's capital markets post a strong rebound against the backdrop of regulatory reforms, innovative listings and rising investor confidence, even as global uncertainties and declining foreign participation tested the market resilience. According to the Capital Markets Authority's third quarter soundness report, all major indicators of market performance strengthened sharply. Here's Jimmy Mbogo.
The latest Capital Market Soundness report shows that the third quarter has been characterized by mixed fortunes, with the Nairobi Security Exchange NSE 20 Share Index, an index that tracks the performance of 20 top blue-chip Nairobi-listed firms, climbing 21.8% to close the quarter at 2,972.64 points. This as the NSE All-Share Index, which tracks the performance of all listed companies, gained 15.2% to close the quarter at 176.74 points. This pushed market capitalization, which is the value of all listed companies, up to 2.78 trillion shillings. In the same period, equity turnover saw a significant rise of 55.34% to 46.23 billion shillings, while the volume of shares traded increased by 26.09% to 1.8 billion shares. In the period under review, the government successfully raised 405.28 billion shillings through the issuance of 6 bonds, including the reopening of a saving development bond (SBD) in the primary bond market, even as the secondary bond market activity grew during the same period. Despite these advances, the report noted several headwinds, such as reduction in foreign investor participation, which fell from 44.47% in the second quarter to 28.01% in September, leading to a net outflow of 4.96 billion shillings as global investors reposition portfolio amid geopolitical tension and monetary policy shifts. Further, market concentration remained high, with the top 5 listed firms led by Safaricom and Tier 1 banks accounting for 66% of total market capitalization. As Kenya enters the final quarter of 2025, CMA remains bullish that the market momentum will deepen on diversified listing, deepening SME participation, and maintaining regulatory agility in the face of shifting global conditions. And with the Government-Owned Enterprise Bill 2025 set to pave the way for parastatal listing such as the Kenya Pipeline Company, the outlook remains positive. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
The Kenya Revenue Authority has warned of increased smuggling through Lake Victoria, calling for enhanced multi-sectoral collaboration to eradicate the vice. Speaking at the Kisumu port on Wednesday, the Kenya Revenue Authority's Western Regional Manager Dominic Kingara revealed that the authority has seized goods worth 3.2 million shillings in last year. This is compared to 1.9 in the 2022-23 financial year. The goods majorly from the East African Community bloc included sugar, which was brought in using wooden fishing boats. Kingara, however, noted increased performance of the Kisumu port over the last year, where the authority collected 107 million Kenya shillings in revenue in the 2024-25 financial year, up from 35 million shillings in the previous year.
Some of the goods we intercept are actually mostly originating from the East African community countries. But when we intercept the goods and the people who have tried to use shortcuts here and there, it's when they realize that actually they have not saved anything. Even if they had come through the offices, we don't have duties in the East African community. It's only the VAT, the excise duty, and some few levies here and there, but duty as a tax head, we do not charge that. So the message out there is that members of the public they don't need to go through the shortcuts.
In Laikipia County, a group of women are redefining what it means to farm sustainably by turning to an unlikely insect, the cricket. They are now rearing crickets not only as a source of income but also to strengthen food security in their community. As Dennis Otieno reports on this week's Smart Farm, the women are using the insects to create circular farming system, linking crickets, chickens and vegetables all under one sustainable cycle.
Inside this small enclosure in Mukogode West, Laikipia North, dozens of women from Twala Cultural Women Group are busy tending to trays teeming with crickets. They call this their new gold mine, a climate-smart venture that's helping them adapt to erratic weather while keeping food on the table.
The reason that's why we come together as women, as Maasai women, is because we are from a semi-nomad community who move from place to place looking for pasture. And due to climatical change, it's very difficult to keep livestock, very difficult for children to continue going to school, and also very difficult for us to say no to harmful cultural practices that the semi-nomads community practice, like female genital mutilation, earlier marriages, and denial of children education.
Led by Rosemary Nenini, the group of over 200 women has turned to insect farming as an alternative source of livelihood. Here, crickets are more than just insects. They are a cornerstone of a circular farming model that brings together insect protein, poultry, and vegetables. The group now keeps 19 boxes of crickets, each box holding hundreds of insects. Their short 3-month life cycle makes them easy to manage, while their waste, known as frass, is used as organic manure in nearby kitchen gardens.
Maintaining crickets and feeding is very simple because we tried to feed using just indigenous shrubs and vegetables. We also have a greenhouse that we do organic farming. So we take also kales and spinach from the greenhouse and feed them, and also cassava. Every day you just clean the box. Their waste, that's the poop, we take back to the garden. So nothing of a cricket is a waste.
And the results are visible, from healthier chickens to more productive kitchen gardens.
Yeah, having the kitchen garden, the chickens, and also the crickets is very helpful because they're all environmental friendly, and also they can adapt climate change because we don't need like more water or all that. So and each benefit from one another, because now we get veggies from the kitchen garden, we feed it to the crickets. The waste of crickets, that's their poops, we take back to the kitchen gardens, whereas the crickets, we feed it to the chicken. We get eggs, we sell, and we also eat. We also eat chicken, we sell chicken.
Cricket farming here is part of a broader initiative supported by Code Kenya and other partners.
In Kenya, we currently supporting communities with projects in the agri-food systems. We have a project here in the northern part of the country in 4 counties, Isiolo, Laikipia, Samburu, and Marsabit, where we are running a project called Beat the Locust Project, a project that was inspired by the last desert locust invasion in 2019-2020. So here we are working with communities to build an insect value chain, but we are also advocating for adoption of biopesticides.
But this project is not just about rearing the crickets. Value addition is at the heart of this venture. Farmers here are currently feeding the insects directly to the chicken, and they've embarked on value addition plans, turning the insects into high-protein flour for human consumption.
And the reason as why we rear crickets is because crickets do not need more space. You cannot migrate them like livestock, and they are rich in protein. Due to climatical change, nowadays it's very hard to get milk for the children. But because crickets are very rich in protein, we feed to our chicken, we get very healthy eggs to feed our children. We are also planning to do animals feeds and children porridge and biscuits so that children cannot suffer from malnutrition.
Dennis Otieno, Smart Farm.
To edge out Shabana 2-1 in a thrilling football Kenya Premier League midweek clash at the Gusii Stadium. Shabana drew the first blood early in the game through striker Austin Odongo, but Ingwe roared back in the second half when captain Victor Omune leveled the scores in the 72nd minute. A late defensive mix-up handed the Leopards the winner from James Kinyanjui corner. The win lifts Leopards to 5th on the table with 9 points, while Shabana suffered their 3rd straight home defeat and lies 7th with 7 points. Elsewhere, Kakamega Homeboys edged out AP's Bomet 2-1 to open up a 3-point lead at the top of the standings. Record Kenya Premier League champions Gor Mahia have intensified their preparations ahead of Thursday's clash against Mathare United at the Kasarani Stadium. Fresh from a 3-0 win over Posta Rangers, Kogalo are eager to keep their momentum as they chase top spot in the league. New signing Lewis Bandi remains sidelined, but Ghanaian midfielder Ebenezer Adukwao could make his first appearance in the green and white jersey. Gor Mahia currently 4th on the league table with 9 points, 4 off leaders Kakamega Homeboys.
Preparation, because we believe that proper preparation prevents poor performance. In our first game, we lost, but it was not a poor performance. So we're going to prepare adequately for them. And again, for me, I even like the way they play. And again, we are playing on a very good turf. I don't think they can play better than us. They're a good side.
All right. And the Harambee Starlets have booked a ticket to the 2026 Women Africa Cup of Nations, WAFCON, for the 2nd time in their history, after overcoming the Gambia 4-1 in aggregate in the final hurdle en route to the championship set to be held in Morocco from March next year. Our reporter Luqman Mahmoud takes a look at the Starlets' journey in the following report.
From the onset of the campaign, the team stayed focused on one goal: qualify and make a return to the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, where they last featured in 2016 in Cameroon. Their qualification journey began against Tunisia in the first round. In Nairobi, ended in a barren draw, and when the Starlets travelled to Sousse, Tunisia, it was Teresa Ngesha's early strike in the 9th minute that gave Kenya a cherished 1-0 aggregate win and a spot in the second and final round.
It has been 9 years, so we kept on reminding ourselves that it has been 9 years. How long can we wait? So the girls were really spirited, the technical bench awesome. We worked together as a team, but we thank God so much.
Kutoka mwanzo tulianza na Mungu na tumemaliza na Mungu na tumepata ushindi na tumequalify. Tuna thank God na nina thank my teammates wenye wamefight siku ya leo tukapata ushindi.
At the second hurdle, they faced the Scorpions of Gambia, who are targeting their first appearance in the Continental Championship. In the first leg meeting at the Nyayo National Stadium last Friday, Mwana Halima Adam opened the scores in the 12th minute before Fasila Adhiambo made it 2-1 7 minutes later. Just before the break, youngster Charlene Opisa added a third to seal a 3-1 home victory. And in the return leg stage in Senegal Tuesday night, the team recorded a 1-0 win with Mwana Halima Adams' lone goal in the 56th minute, completing the job for a 4-1 aggregate victory, and with it, a ticket to the next year's showpiece in Morocco.
You have done your best, and we promised you all our support as the FKF, and together, of course, with the government of Kenya through the Ministry of Sports, and with the support of His Excellency the President, Dr. William Ruto.
Kitu poa sana kwa sababu inamaanisha Kenya we are growing. Women football is growing very fast. Na I think ni support tu kidogo from the one we get from the government and the President William Samoei Ruto. And we are performing now.
The qualification is more than just a win. It's a milestone for Kenya women's football. The Starlets' return to AFCON highlights the growth of the women's game and the effort put in by players, coaches and the FKF to ensure consistent progress.
Definitely we have to sit now and come up with a roadmap to 2026 AFCON. We don't want to go as participants. We definitely want to finish in the top 4 and qualify for the World Cup. So we are going to sit down and come up with a very strategic plan.
As the Starlets prepare for the AFCON show, they will be inspired by the desire to go one step better than in 2016. Lukman Mahmoud, Citizen TV.
Congratulations to the girls. Decorated Kenyan deaf athlete Lucas Wandia says his recognition as a national hero on Mashujaa Day has given him fresh motivation as he prepares for the Tokyo 2025 Summer Deaflympics set for the 15th of November to the 26th. The 36-year-old double Deaflympics gold medalist in the men's 3,000-meter steeplechase was among 31 sports stars honored during this year's Mashujaa Day celebrations. The Tokyo Games will mark Wandia's 4th Deaflympics appearance as he has backed his teammates, including Jacob Kibet and Peter Lagat, to shine on the global stage, citing their talent, confidence and improved training.
As we are preparing to go to Tokyo, Japan, I believe that I will continue to defend my position, which is the 3,000 steeplechase. I'm an athlete in the 3,000 steeplechase, and I believe that God will help me, and also with my team, to represent Kenya very well. We are going to perform very well, I believe.